Hi scrapbookers, it's Trisha here at Club Scrap with the Christmas in the Neighborhood Page Kit Workshop. I hope you're ready to go with your instructions, maybe on a tablet or just nearby, and your Christmas in the Neighborhood page kit. We have a whole collection on this theme. We have the card kit, the stamps, a really adorable ornament project. So I hope you're joining us in the holiday festivities way ahead of schedule this year. It's really fun to be able to get a great start on the holidays, especially with everything we've got going on. We have a little extra time at home. So we're going to get started by setting aside all the fun goodies that came in the collection. And as always, I've got my trimmer, my accordion pocket organizer handy so that we can stay organized while we're trimming all of our papers. So we'll begin by just sorting the stack of papers according to the order they're going to be trimmed. I always like to hold those papers in the crook of my arm so I can siphon through them easily. So I'm going to start by finding one of the 12 by 12 green planes. I'll set that just on my trimmer base. And next I'll find this adorable snowman print and I'll put that face down on my work surface. And then we're going to find that second snowman print as well. So we're going to trim both of these today. And then we'll locate one of the neighborhood prints. So put that face down. Next, we're going to trim a red plane. This is such a fun modern color palette for Christmas. Oh, we're going to trim another red plane and another red plane. So there should be 3 red planes in your kit, and we're going to cut all of them. And then a blue plane. Next, I'm going to have you go to the back. I think it should be in the back of the stack of papers, and find a cut apart sheet that has this large Together in Spirit tag. And finally, there should be one more cut apart that has these border strips on the side. We'll keep organizing here. Let's move to a different page. How about 2 pink planes? This is such a cute color here. And then 2 green planes. It gets easier and easier the fewer papers you have in your stash. 1 white plane, and then 1 neighborhood print face down. So it should look like it's all white here. And then we've got 2 blue planes. Okay, that should be all the paper in your stack. And if you missed anything, you can just go back and review this information. And just so that you know what I was doing, again, I put all of these papers in order so that when we trim them, they'll be right where we need them to be. Next, I found the 2 cut aparts. And then finally, I located all the papers for the base of each layout, starting with 8 and moving my way to number 1. So there's just a kind of a science to it. And once you sort of learn the method, it really is the most efficient approach. Okay, so let's take this green plane and get started with our trimming. If you don't have this bypass style trimmer, you're going to want one. I can't emphasize enough what an important tool this is to the success of your all of your paper crafting. All right, let's trim this at 10.5, and remember to look at the inches and not the centimeters. That happens a lot with those first-time trimmer users. So 10.5, stabilize on the clear bar, then slide down to 6.25. Rotate the piece of paper in the base of your trimmer. We'll cut twice, once at 8.5 and then 4.25. And you created 2 pieces that are the same size and then 1 slightly narrower. All 3 of these pieces go in pocket 1 and 2. And if you're not using an accordion pocket file, just simply make 4 piles. Hopefully you have a lot of space to work with. And on your 4 piles, then you can distribute them accordingly. Okay, this next strip we're going to trim horizontally at 6.25. Take this piece, this largest one, and put it in pocket 1 and 2. And the smaller rectangle goes in 3 and 4. You should also have this narrow strip that will be placed in pocket 1 and 2. All right, next on our list is one of the snowman prints. Make sure you just take one of them. And we'll place it right side up into the trimmer, cut at 8.5. and 2 3/4. So this guy goes in pocket 1 and 2. He's so cute. Next, we'll trim this larger piece horizontally at 11.25, 7.5, 3 3/4. Stack up the 3 rectangles that are all the same size, or they should be, and those go in pocket 3 and 4. We did create a small scrap just then, and this other portion of the snowman print goes in pocket 1 and 2. Take the next snowman print. This is even easier. Just put it in the trimmer right side up and cut it 7. So we'll just stack these two and file those in pockets 7 and 8. Pick up the neighborhood print. We're going to place this in the trimmer so that the neighborhood is running vertically on the right. Let's trim it 8.5 and 6. Rotate the 6x12. We'll cut at 8 and 4. And then stack up these 3 4x6s. We'll file those in pocket 5 and 6. You have a narrow strip here. We're going to cut a bunch of rectangles the same size. So we'll cut at 11. And then 8.25, 5.5, 2 3/4. Stack up the rectangles that are the same size. There should be 4 of them. 3 of them go in pocket 1 and 2, and then 1 of these goes in pocket 5 and 6. There is going to be a small 1-inch scrap, and this next strip is just simply placed in pocket 5 and 6. Now we have all of these red papers to trim. Okay, first red, we're going to cut at 11 3/4, 11.5, 10 3/4, 9 3/4, and 6. Rotate and cut at 8 and 4. All right, now this one 4x6, file that in pocket 1 and 2, and the other 2 that are the same go in 3 and 4. Now we're going to trim this into some squares. We'll cut at 11 1/4, 7.5, 3 3/4. You have 3 squares now. They all go in pockets 7 and 8, and then this little guy is actually used in layout 3 and 4. Now you've got a whole bunch of strips. The widest of the remaining 7 and 8, the medium sized 3 and 4, and the 2 tiny ones 1 and 2. No scraps. I love it. Okay, our next red plane, make sure you just have 1. We'll cut at 10.5 and 6 1/4. Rotate, cut at 8.5 and 4 1/4. Stack the 2 pieces you just created, and those go in pockets 7 and 8. And then there's this narrow rectangle. We'll trim that horizontally at 6 and 3. We just made 2 rectangles. Put one in pocket 3 and 4, and the other in 5 and 6. I am sorry to tell you, this is a scrap. The next strip we'll trim horizontally at 6 1/4. Place this in pocket 5 and 6, and the other in 7 and 8. This large strip, 5 and 6. One more red plane. We will begin at cutting at 11 3/4, 11.5, 10 3/4, 8 3/4, and 6. Okay, this large 6-inch piece is kept whole and used in layouts 3 and 4. The next 2 3/4 by 12, we're going to cut into rectangles. We're just going to go 9, 6, and 3. Okay, 3 of these rectangles, all the pieces are the same. 3 of them go in 1 and 2, and the other 5 and 6. This larger strip is 2 by 12. That goes in 7 and 8. And now we have some small pieces here. The wider one goes in 5 and 6. And then these get split. Put one tiny one in 5 and 6, and then one tiny one in pockets 7 and 8. One more just plain sheet to trim. We're almost there with 2 easy cuts here. The first one's at 8, and then 4. rotate the first one and trim at 6. Gather up the 2 rectangles, and they're both filed in 5 and 6. Next, cut at 11.5, 8.5, and 5.5. All right, this larger piece goes in pocket 3 and 4. Then you have 2 rectangles. Put one in 5 and 6 and the other in 7 and 8. This little guy, 7 and 8. We used it. Okay, now these are pretty easy cuts too. This last blue is trimmed at 10, 8, 6, and 4. Okay, take this square and one of the rectangles. Those both go in 7 and 8. The remaining 3 rectangles are used in pocket 3 and 4. All right, now we have some cut aparts to trim, so we'll place this into our trimmer with these zigzag borders on the right, and always just keep in mind that there's a gray colored registration mark on the edges of your print. So if you have any doubt about what the number is, just kind of line up those guidelines with the edge of your blade on the trimmer. Our first cut is going to be at around 10 3/4. And then we slide over to 9.5. And next we'll hit 7 3/4 and 4. Okay, rotate, and we're going to trim this little end off of here. That's at 11.5 and 5 3/4. If you happen to have a scissors handy, we will be dividing the use of some of these elements. So I'm just going to, for now, do a separation of the pieces so we can put them in the appropriate pocket. So this house and the trees, other house and the snowman. Okay, so the trees and the snowman, those are both used in layouts 3 and 4. The blue house goes in 5 and 6, and the red house 1 and 2. This together in spirit guy, he goes in 3 and 4. There is a little scrap that we made there, so if you run across that, you can set it aside. Next, place this strip into the trimmer with Home for the Holidays on the right. We'll cut at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. Okay, this horizontal journaling prompt 1 and 2. And we've got a vertical journaling prompt 5 and 6. Got this cute little tag 7 and 8. This oval shaped tag and the Home for the Holidays, both of those are going to go in 7 and 8. One Day of Coal, that goes in 1 and 2. And then this border strip, also 1 and 2, and this other one in 5 and 6. One more sheet of cut aparts. Christmas should be on the right. And we'll cut at 10 1/4, 8 1/2, 8, 7 1/2, 6 3/4, and 3 1/2. Rotate this piece so it's horizontal, and we'll cut at 10 1/2, 7, 3 1/2. Okay, I've got all kinds of pieces to work with here. All right, so this piece, that goes in 7 and 8. The round snowman, 5 and 6. The joy, 7 and 8. And then this tag-shaped journaling prompt, 7 and 8. Now we'll trim this next piece. And again, always make sure the smallest piece is on the far right. And we'll cut at 11 1/2, 8 3/4, 6, and that's it. So the Noel, this is going to go in pocket 1 and 2. We've got a horizontal journaling prompt for 3 and 4. Bring on that holiday cheer. 5 and 6. And then It's a Merry Christmas Full of Joy. That's 3 and 4. I like those cute little ones. Okay, here we have this colored strip, 7 and 8. I like to pick up all those last strips all at once so I can deal them out more easily. Here we got some polka dots here. This goes in 3 and 4. The other one, 5 and 6. The Dear Santa, 7 and 8. And then this Christmas, 1 and 2. Congratulations, you survived. I should have probably mentioned this at the beginning, but if the rate of my speed is just way too fast for you, no problem. There is always a gear symbol on your YouTube interface, and if you click on that, you can change the speed setting to just a little bit slower. So experiment with whatever speed works best for your skill level, and I guarantee that with practice, your speed will definitely increase, and you'll just be able to do it right along with me live, no problem. Okay, so the plan now, and I'm not sure how many of you are new around here, but I kind of have to assume some of you are, is next we'll take our instructions and turn to the last page, this is page 5, and look at the last layout pairing, that's 7 and 8. So what we basically do is dry fit all of the components that we prepared for this layout, starting at 7 and 8, and then we work our way so that when we have everything placed, layout number 1 is on top and ready for final assembly with adhesive and all of that. So we're going to do this sort of slide and stack dry fit method that I have here. So take the entire stack of your remaining papers, slide the top sheet over to the right, and that's going to give you the base papers for layout 7 and 8. And that was the purpose of that ordering process we did at the beginning of class. Now I'm going to take everything out of the 4th pocket. It's important that you take out the proper pocket of items for the proper layout. So sometimes it's tempting to grab everything from 1 and 2 because we're just getting started, but we'll work our way from back to front from our piles or pockets, whichever you've chosen to do. Okay, so what I like to typically start with is my largest pieces in the envelope, which include this really adorable print going here, and it's just going to flank the left and right edges, and this print is going to be flush to the edge. Next, there should be a really tiny little strip of red. And that's going to help transition us from the print into the plain area. Just kind of creates some zones here. And then we'll add some photo mats. Now there should be 2 photo mats that are the same size and are larger. We're going to place those right about here. Okay. And then there should be a larger red strip. Let's nest that with the Dear Santa quote, and then there's going to be a blue panel, I think this one is 3 by 4, that will nest perfectly with the At Christmas All Roads Lead Home. That'll end up being here. And cleverly, see this weird shaped rectangle? It actually nests onto one of the die cut tags with a Christmas tree on it. So you got to pop the Christmas tree out. We're going to use that. And then this one will be placed right around here, kind of tucked behind that a little bit. Isn't that a sweet little embellishment? I love it. Now, above here, we eventually just use scissors to trim that oval and trim that. And we actually add a little bit of a point to the tip of this, and that gets snuggled behind there. You'll see how that looks on the finished layout. On the right side, we have 3 squares. 3 red squares that should fit perfectly across the top with equal spacing on all sides. I love how that works out. The joy will go on the far right, the peace will go on the left. Now, if you find that you have a lot of pictures from your holiday experience, you can put a picture in each one of those spots. Don't let a cut apart stop you from using the pictures you have. Those cut aparts are just there to help you finish a layout in a pleasing manner without necessarily having to have everything. Okay, you can see how those pieces all fill into place. Now I've got some equipment here. I've got my little Club Scrap cutting mat and our new mini grid ruler and a sharp craft knife. I just want to quick show you a few tips here. When you have a tag like this that needs to be shaped, you can use scissors to trim or clip the corners, or you can align the first dotted line of the grid on the ruler with the edge of the artwork, and then just remove the tip that way. Works really well. Now I'm going to nest this onto the blue mat and get that nice and lined up. And you know, if it depends on how picky you are, but you could even use your grid ruler to help you place that. Now you would do a second round where you align the first line on the ruler with the edge of the actual tag so that the blue angle matches the printed tag angle, and that gives you a really nice effect. Same with this chevron edged guy. You can use the grid ruler to just add the points, and they should work really well if they're 1/8 of an inch past the printed artwork. See that? Just works so slick. So this is typically something I do like sometimes as I'm trimming my cut aparts from the parent sheet. I might just be, I mean, I of course don't know where these cut aparts are going to end up when I'm using them. So I just do all of this stuff right at the outset. See how I did that? Just added a little peek out of this. Now when you're cutting an oval, sometimes I like to use a larger scissors with a longer blade. I just have the standard scissors, but the reason I like to have a larger blade is I can get that scissors open a lot wider, and that way I can have a nicer circular or oval cut by just opening wide, and I don't jerk my scissors. I just simply close it very gradually while I'm turning my oval. So with just a few simple cuts, here you have your little collage element for this upper corner of the page. And then of course you can do the same thing with this other smaller tag. Just cut those little angles away, and all of that is optional. We'll finish this up with the addition of one of these adorable little silver snowman charms. And then if you happen to have a hole punch, you can punch holes into these tags, all 3 of them. And it also works nice if you happen to have a corner chomper. On the 1/2 inch setting, I just rounded the corner here before I matted this, and then punched a hole, and then added some ribbon. So let's take a look at those finished pages for 7 and 8. Here's layout number 8 with everything all adhered. I also added some of that adorable snowflake washi tape to this area here. I did it after the page had been assembled and thought it would be a nice addition to the spot. You can see there's this really pretty soft white ribbon. It's kind of almost feels like a little bit of a suede. And then this is the other layout as well. And see how I added some washi tape to the left edge of that particular tag, and I added washi tape even to the edge of this little blue scrap here on the right. So lots of really fun details here. And again, all of those are optional, just a fun way to kick it up a notch. Okay, with this layout ready to go, I'm gonna do the slide and stack. So slide this over, stack it on 8, 7's on top of 8, then move the next single sheet over. Now, side by side here, I've got the base for layouts 5 and 6, which means I then will empty the contents of pocket 5 and 6. I'm consulting the image still on the top of page 5, and as usual, I begin to try to find those larger pieces. The neighborhood's going to be moved now to the top of this layout, which is kind of a nice little effect. And again, I'm repeating that same idea of the little piece of red sort of transitioning us from this into the green space. And then across the bottom, we'll have a nested border. In the middle, let's see, we'll get rid of some of these larger pieces too. We got this blue photo mat here on the inner edge, a vertical red strip nested with this polka dotted border, a red vertical mat should have a mate to nest right on top of it, and then there also should be a smaller red piece that can fit above that with a nesting print there. This will be circular cut, 2 vertical white prints will fit in between these areas, and this is why we dry fit. We always want to make sure everything is in its proper place, its proper distance apart before we start adding our adhesive. This even nests onto the red mat here to add contrast, and you can cut out this little house as detailed or not detailed as you like. Don't have to make a big project out of it. Remember when we saved the little tree from the die cut tag? So I'm going to plop that down here, along with 2 additional And all of your tags should still have the trees inside. I double checked with Deb, and she said that yes, the trees were in the tags when they were packed for shipment. So hopefully you still have your trees. Finish off with one of those little silver snowmen there. He can be glued on with our bookbinding glue. I've added it to a needle tip applicator. So if you're not using this for your metal embellishments on paper, it's a wonderful solution. All right, so here is page 6, all glued down. I did add a little bit of that really beautifully wide grosgrain ribbon. Check this out. This is so pretty. You've probably already seen it because it's in your kit, but this is really a gorgeous accent ribbon for, I mean, it's eye-catching in small amounts. And then I added the trimmed out house with some foam adhesive circles, just to give it a little bit of height. Make sure when you add your foam adhesive circles, especially because you still need to add your pictures to these layouts, that you avoid placing any adhesive over the pictures that this is kind of on top of. Then this other page, I did make a gigantic, just a standard bow out of this large ribbon and also added some behind. So I kind of have it in 3 places on this layout, which I think is really attractive. Here's my little charm. Everything is all set up there. Should I quick show you that little bow? I know I always promised I'll do a bow making, just a video only on using ribbon, but I just take this ribbon and make 2 loops, then crisscross those loops, bring the front loop around back and then through the hole and pull, and it will be a really ugly bow. But once you start working with a little bit, adjusting the sizes of the loops, and then you can trim the tail. Now I do keep a scissors exclusively designed for sewing and fabric. And then if you want to swallows tail, just fold the ribbon in half lengthwise and trim toward the knot. It's a great way to get that job done quickly. And then you have a very lovely little bow to put on your layout. You can just keep working with it until it looks just how you want it to be. All right, let's set these aside. We'll do the slide and stack. So I'm going to slide this green over onto the other one. Bring the white over. Obviously, we need to rotate our print. That's no problem. And now we're going to turn to the previous page in our instructions because we're working backwards. And now we're looking at layouts 3 and 4. We'll empty the contents of that pocket. Okay, with this nice clean slate here, we're going to add this 4x6 along the inner gutter of the right layout. And then there should be 3 photo mats that will fit within that area perfectly. Check it out. Okay. Then on the upper right side, we've got this Together in Spirit tag, and then some nesting green and blue will go together. 2 horizontal red photo mats here, and then a row of 3 2x4 blues. They will overlap a little bit onto the photo. It's okay, or it should be. Just kind of choose carefully when you add your pictures to those spots. Here we go, a set of 3. Those white tags. We got all kinds of stuff left here. What's going on? Let's see, across the bottom, we're gonna kind of create some zones here. So let's add this red strip matted with that polka dotted. It kind of brings out what's happening in the background into the foreground. I love that. A red rectangle will go here, topped with a journaling prompt. And then look, this guy. Oh, I forgot. I was supposed to make a little trim on this. Totally forgot. It's on the instructions, in the written instructions as well. This needs a little, just gonna snip off that 1/4 inch. That's all that needed to happen with that. And that fits perfect right there. How about a little silver snowman charm? Oh, he's so cute. Okay, and some ribbon for the top of this. When I did trim this, I did it again, just kind of eyeballed it. Tried to match the distance from the printed tag. And I think with the addition of the ribbon on the top, it really disguises any imperfections in my cuts. They're not bad. So that can go in that spot there. And let's take a look at those finished pages with everything adhered and in place. Oh, on the left, I forgot about this. On the left, I see this is so helpful. I'm glad that we're doing this together. On the left and right sides of this, I added the snowflake washi tape. And that's a really nice finishing touch for this. I remember it being, I had a little bit of a extra space on the right here that needed some love. So by moving this out a little bit and adding the washi tape, it creates a new section for me. Then this is a really cool granulated grosgrain edged ribbon, and it's very, very lovely to work with. It lays so nice, and then I just attach that with a glue dot. You don't even need to punch a hole for that tag. Then on the left page, these 3 tags have been, had the little snowflake washi tape added, and I think that's a nice balance, keeping something happening on the left side, over to the right as well. Then top with your ribbon, and then those little cut aparts, the snowman and the trees. I just did a rough cut of all of that and later layered them on top in that spot. There it is. That's a really nice, easy, but yet dramatically effective layout. So let's slide and stack. Slide. And right in front of us now, we have the base for layouts 1 and 2. And if it takes you a little longer to kind of make sense of what's in those pockets, it's okay. Take your time. Just pause me and consult the instruction images to find out where things go. And then once you can go back and review it, you'll see, oh yeah, that piece that mystery piece goes there. Okay, so once again, I'll set up my little winged anchors, my little bookends. And here we have our red strip. So you can see a pattern happening here on each side. Then I have this cool vertical border strip that will fit right there. And incredibly, look at this fit. Boom, right in there. A perfect border going around. Love that. Let's see, across the bottom of this one, we're going to have a green strip with a nested border. And then across the top, let's take those 3 rectangles. We're going to place them horizontal, or place them vertically, but horizontally across, but they're taller than they are. And look how they fit so well in there. I used my grid ruler to help align all of those, making sure they were centered. So I found my 0 center from here before I added them, and they were perfectly spaced. I believe they still were like 3/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch apart. Then Christmas goes across here, and a nested red and green. Then, and this is intentionally designed this way, for this cut apart to fit perfectly onto this mat. So again, clipping your corners is optional. I showed you how to do that. You'll top it with some ribbon. Then these fit perfectly right onto those rectangles. A horizontal journaling prompt with some ribbon added, and then just fussy cut the house. You can add him there. There should be one more little tree die cut. This is from the tag. So I have him sort of tucked behind the house, which is attached to the layout with foam adhesive. And then, let's see, he goes right by the tree, kind of near there. So on the finished layout, you'll see how that all came together. Here's our layout with I did punch a hole in this, and then I tied the standard bow, just like the green one, and then just attached it on top. So it looks like it's added to the top of the tag, but it's just sitting on top of it. It's not threaded through, if you know what I mean. On page 1, here's all those finishing touches. This fussy cut house attached with the foam adhesive circles, tree tucked behind, snowman's just on top of the tree, and then some angle cut grow grains peeking out from the side of the tag, the journaling prompt, that is. So yes, that is layouts 1 and 2 for the Christmas in the Neighborhood page kit. I really hope this comes together easily for you. If you follow these steps and you get the hang of the program, all of your future layout making is going to be extremely efficient and productive. I mean, I think these are our only scraps. After making 8 layouts, this should be what remains. Isn't that cool? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this page making journey. I hope you had fun, and ultimately, I really hope you have a wonderful Christmas in your neighborhood. We'll see you around.